Students of TC down in Jackson, Mississippi, hope you're ready for this growth opportunity. Sociology of the family bearing academic fruit like this poetry. Time for you and me to embark on something special. I hope you'll agree. To perk you up intellectually like a good morning coffee. So let's get ready to work and have fun, all right. No stoplight can't afford to sit tight as go time green light. I need you to buckle up the seatbelt nice and tight because the road ahead may have a few bumps in sight, but if you stay upright, spirit, mind, erudite, you're going to reach your full heights. Stay hungry for new knowledge and feed off each other's brilliance in this class, full appetite. In life, there's no need to nibble at your dreams. Take the whole damn bite because your greatness, it's your birthright. Other people might be sitting around for and playing games with their lives like Fortnite, but nah, I need you to have the foresight to plan for an explosive positive semester like dynamite. Keep your headlights focused ahead on a future so bright, even the moon looks like daylight. And when you feel a little low like Celsius, I hope someone in here can help heat you back up like Fahrenheit. And when society's spiritual soda machine tastes flat, you be that model of great positive energy like that fire McDonald's Sprite. All right, let me stop there. Hello, Tougaloo College students. I am Derek Greenfield, Dr. G. I'm going to be your instructor for this class, and I'm so excited to be joining you this semester. I'm actually now in the Dominican Republic. Don't hate. I get a chance to live here, but I'm back in the States a lot for speaking engagements, visit my mom, and see friends and family and all that good stuff. And so I've been to Tougaloo a couple of times. Hopefully, I can make it back sometime this semester, so maybe we can get together and I'll have a class in person live and be in community. And that's one of the main things, especially in a course about the family, that I like is to have that as much of a family type positive, healthy experience as we can. Because really my goal ultimately is, yes, I want you to learn lots of important stuff, but I also want you to be able to enjoy the experience and to get something that you can take with you personally and professionally. So indeed, if you walk away and you learn some stuff, but a week later you forget all of it, there's no value. So we're going to do things that hopefully have the same kind of personal connection as much as possible. Yeah, we're virtual, but as you'll see in my conversation today and throughout, we'll do as much as we can to give that one-on-one experience, that collective experience, more of a personal kind of experience throughout the semester. So again, I am thrilled. I'm excited that we're going to get a chance to be learning together from one another. And I created this video so hopefully we have an opportunity just to kind of be on the same page with some of the material and some of the assignments, just so we start out as positively as possible. So here is a little slide deck that I'm going to run through with you right now. Again, the intro to sociology of the family. Now, if we're going to talk about family, let's bring them in. And you're going to have assignments where you'll be encouraged as much as you wish to share about your family. Think about it. All of us enter into this course with some connection to the material. There might be some classes you take in college, you go, how does this relate to me at all? All of us have some awareness of family or some connection to family. Our family forms may be very different. Some of us may have more kind of positive feelings about family than others, but all of us have something to bring and to contribute, and all of us have something to take away from each other and to learn. So I like to bring my mom into this space as the most important person in my family. As mom looking all fly, you can see the different colors in her hair, and she's always been that innovative and creative person. And also somebody that everybody says, oh my God, I just love your mom. She's so cool and she's so friendly and loving and nice and always wants people to feel valued and included. Think about who's the person in your life and your family that does that embodies, embraces those positive kinds of traits and commit to living in that way as a way to honor them and keep their legacy going. And maybe you'll be able to bring that into your own families if you choose to have children, for example, someday, and learn from and maintain those kind of traditions. Some things obviously will change over generations, but some things can persist and be particularly valuable. Now, my mom, unfortunately, with Parkinson's and a bunch of other serious ailments, is struggling with her health. And we don't know. Hopefully, we'll continue to have her for, a long time, but it may not be. We're not sure exactly what the future will hold for her. And so every day we celebrate and cherish her and honor that and just appreciate what we do have. And I hope you can do the same. Maybe, as we'll talk about in this course, some of us have difficult relationships with some people in our families. And maybe there's a way that something you learned this semester you can use to heal and to grow and to benefit from that moment. My mom, I'm going to share something that she taught me that maybe you'll be able to learn from. You go on vacation or out to dinner somewhere, or whatever, and you see a bunch of folks trying to take like a big family picture, and somebody's out of the picture taking the picture of everybody else, and that way not everybody's involved, or they're doing a selfie and it doesn't come out well. She'd say, go up to people, ask if you can take the picture for them. Isn't that a really cool idea, right? Because not only do they feel really, really happy that everybody gets to be in that picture, it's kind of a special moment that strangers can come together and do something to help one another. They're happy, it kind of makes you feel good, but more importantly, they get to walk away with a picture where the entire family is present. So I just wanted to share that with you. Well, moving on, I want us to get a chance to explore the similarities and differences between sociology and psychology. They are sibling academic disciplines. They have a similar kind of approach in the sense that they are looking at human behavior. Yet the frame of reference is different. Now, some of you may have taken a sociology class before, and so this might be a cool review for you. Others may be new, so welcome to the greatest academic discipline. But sociology and psychology differ in the frame of reference. Psychologists tend to look more internally. How is the person cognitively or mentally processing and making sense of the world? How do they feel about it? And how do those internal individual interpretations affect their thoughts and actions, feelings, and behavior? So it's an internal focus, where sociology tends to be an externally driven or external focus. What are the ways in which the larger social forces around us shape the way we think and act and feel and behave, right? And that those indeed interactions between people are really the ways in which we learn that. It just doesn't happen that you learn what society tells you. People have to teach it to you. You see the messages on TV or from family or in school, that indeed there's forces around us that shape our actions. Now, we tend to think of ourselves, I'm just me, I do what I want to do. Yeah, at the end you might make your own decisions, but not always at your own 100% complete choosing. I mean, think about it. You're in college now. Go back 200-300 years ago. The opportunities that might be available for many folks who are watching this video perhaps were not nearly as they are today. And then, of course, with the invention, creation of HBCUs, these wonderful institutions, now so many more opportunities. And what we're now seeing, obviously, there's tremendous hatred that's taking place, sad to say, in this world, that HBCUs are growing in enrollment in many cases tremendously because lots of folks are saying it doesn't feel safe out there. These institutions are places where folks might be able to be who they are, be the best versions of themselves, and celebrate the excellence that's there. So every decision we make is influenced by the larger society around us. And when it comes to family, I know that there's a lot of parents today, particularly young men, that say that they are very different than their fathers were, that their fathers didn't get taught, weren't socialized to be as emotionally invested and care about feelings and things like that. And lots of, I see young men today are saying, I want to raise my children feeling loved, and I tell them I love them, and hugs and kisses. And that's important to me, that indeed they, by their own actions, then influence the society. We create new norms about what's considered appropriate. And I think it's a wonderful thing now that perhaps we've had a revolution in parenting, particularly for young men. So that's how even individuals can shape the society around us. So that's really what sociology is about, looking at the interaction between the individual and society, how the larger social forces shape us, and then indeed how our actions either reinforce that or have an impact on changing the society around us. Let me give an example. Should parents expect children to leave the house at age 18? Maybe you can relate to this. Perhaps you've got family members who have said, once you turn 18, you got to go to college or get a job or go to the military or just get the heck out of the house. And yes, that's an individual action. Yet, that individual action is influenced by larger social forces. Think about it. All over the world, people might do it differently, and in fact, they do. Look toward the bottom of the list. Only about 33% of U.S. 18 to 34-year-olds are living in their parents' home. Literally about 1 out of 3. Well, let's look at, Croatia and Serbia and Greece. Literally about 3 out of 4 children, or young adults, 18 to 34, are living in their parents' home. Tremendous differences, right? Huge differences in what's considered to be appropriate or right or the way we do things. And an interesting pattern you'll see there is that, men are far more likely than women to be living at home with their parents from 18 to 34? Why is that? Interesting sociological questions. So indeed, every decision we make, there's some fascinating social factors that we want to think about. And that's our goal in this class as well. To not judge or not to say what's right or wrong, but to say, why is it? Why is it that we've been taught certain messages? How do other people make sense of the world? And to understand the impact of those kinds of decisions. So here's a fun little TikTok video that I saw that kind of demonstrates the point about that last slide.
I don't understand why parents in US kick their child out of home when they turned 18. This is so cruel for me. In Mediterranean, people live with their parents until they turn 30, plus regardless they are poor or not. Why would you have a child if you're going to kick them out of your house? Especially in this economy?
I mean, interesting things. Again, what's right or wrong, you can decide. What we're looking at are patterns in human social behavior. We are scientists. Sociology is a social science. We're looking for patterns, not just what one individual does, but does that represent sort of a pattern? As you saw on the slide before, there's a pattern that Croatian and Serbian and Greece and those Eastern European countries are far more likely than in the US to have young adults living in the home. In fact, that's an interesting pattern that maybe changed over time in our country. You go back 50, 100 years, it was far more likely in the US that parents and children lived in the same home for a lot longer. There were multi-generation homes. I think about, my father and his grandparents, they all lived in the same home. That was common, not as common today. Interesting pattern of social change. So what are these patterns that are interesting and fascinating for us to be able to understand? Well, let me give you an example of one. The way we speak. Right. We tend to think, well, I'm just me. I speak this way. This is how I talk. This is just my own decision. And yet I've always said if lots of people speak the same way, like if you think about the city you're from, everybody kind of tends to speak the same way, right? There's something social going on. Babies don't come out of the womb speaking that way. They learn it. And then people say, well, this is how we talk or how we don't talk. And that has an influence on their life experiences. So this is just kind of a fun video about that. This woman here that you'll meet in the video being interviewed during a weather disaster in New Orleans. Check it out.
Also on, Chef, was Constance Landry. She says she's lived here her entire life, almost 80 years, been through just about everything.
I know 80 years old.
Well, just about. I'm sorry, Miss Constance. 76 to be exact.
No, 75.
75. Are you coming back to New Orleans and New Orleans East?
Is the elephant heavy? I'm coming back, baby.
I love it. I love Miss Constance. It's a really cool video. First of all, accents. If you've been down in New Orleans, baby, there's all of us have accents. That's a particular New Orleans accent. There's all kinds of really fascinating things happening in that video. For example, almost 80 years old. No. 76. No. 75. I need you to know my age. Indeed, the idea of asking people their age or talking about somebody's age, interesting gender differences, right? And age differences. Younger people tend to not be, mind being called a little bit older than they are. Older people don't want to be called older than they actually are in general, right? Even the way that she says Miss Constance, right, as a sign of respect. We use language to communicate messages about who people are to us. Isn't it interesting, though, we don't call our parents by their first names, but we often call grandparents or aunts and uncles by first name. I mean, there's all these unique things that are happening. And that's something I think that hopefully you'll enjoy in this class, is that we're going to think about stuff that's happening around us that we don't often pay attention to, that's really meaningful and really exciting to understand. Accents, we've all got one. And yet the sociological part of that is, how are certain accents socially received and responded to? I actually was at Alcorn State for 3 years down in Mississippi as a chief diversity officer, worked there for 3 years. And I had so many of my students who say, we have a Mississippi accent or, a deep South accent, and people often judge us as not being as intelligent for that accent. Of course, no accent is smarter or less smart than others. No person is brighter or not as bright or better or worse based on accent. There's no difference, of course, but how it's interpreted. And they felt that interpretation, they felt that they could see people have a negative response and that would have tremendous impacts on their life opportunities, job opportunities, et cetera. And they felt like maybe I have to speak differently just to get the same chances in life. That's the sociological phenomenon that's going on here, that people indeed are being perceived and responded to differently based on how they sound. Here's another example that's kind of fun about accents.
Yo, guys. I was at the deli getting a sandwich, And the guy behind the counter goes, "Would you like some mozzarella on it?" I said, "Yo, guy, are you out of your mind? It's mozzarella. Don't disrespect my culture. Yo, good morning, America."
Yeah. Don't disrespect my culture. Right. And what I think is really interesting about that video is, first of all, right, the way we speak is personal and it's cultural. Who we are and who we're not. Don't disrespect my culture, right? You got to pronounce it correctly. And yet you probably knew where he was from, right? You probably knew that's like a New York, New Jersey accent. And that, as I mentioned before, accents are perceived to have kind of social value or social or a way of reflecting things about people. Here's an interesting study that I found where they said which accent is the sexiest. I mean, the Deep South accent is 4 times as sexy to people, if you will. People would perceive it as sexy than in Minnesota or the Midwest. There's nothing inherently sexier or better about accents than others, but that's the social response. Now, how does that impact people's lives? Let me give you another example. I happen to love this little video that I'm going to show you now. Let's see if I can pull it up, get out of our slide deck there. And it's a comedian. And the only thing about this, for whatever reason, the laugh track behind her is not on. So it might look like nobody's laughing. They actually really are laughing hysterically. I think it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. So let's get a chance to check it out and see what you think.
Sister-in-law, she wants to be bougie so badly, so badly. Like she talks like, would you like a white wine? Can I offer you a white wine? Like, bitch, if you don't take the Turner Classic Movie out of your voice, she talks like she sings background for Blue Cantrell. Like, well, he was beaming, I was beaming in the beamer, just beaming. Can't believe that I got my man cheating. Remember Blue Cantrell just came out singing like that and we didn't ask no questions? Make him pay for it all. So I went, like, just leave the blue. You ain't gotta take us back to the 40s to break up. To Neiman Marcus on a shopping spree.
I love that video. It's so funny. Now, of course, if you don't know who Blue Cantrell is, that doesn't resonate as much for you. Blue Cantrell was an R&B singer for back in the 90s. Check out her music. She does sound like that. And we didn't really, it's great. What's also interesting is think about it, right? Someone sounds bougie. And even the label of bougie, just on how somebody speaks, there's a value judgment that maybe they think they're better than everybody else. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening that we might not be paying attention to. And I happen to love that example. By the way, that comedian, Dr. Amberia Allen, has a PhD in sociology. She's a sociology professor and a comedian, and she's written for a lot of the top TV shows as well. So just kind of a unique connection there. A couple more slides that I think are really important that I want us to get to before we wrap up. And let me do that right here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. All right. Really, the most important thing we're going to explore in this course that I want you to get is the idea of social construction of reality, that the world is socially constructed. What do I mean by that? Well, that we socially, we as people and collectively construct or make or create reality, the way we think that the world is or is supposed to be. I want you to think about this idea, and we're going to use the language about something being socially constructed or how that was a social construct that perhaps that you learned. Let me give an example. When I was growing up, it wasn't very common for men to wear pink. That just wasn't deemed to be the color. And yet, what's interesting is there was a change. We mentioned before how individuals can change society. Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week around 2002, Cameron. I'm not sure if anybody still listens to Cameron, but Cam came out wearing a pink outfit. And as you see from this article in the end of the paragraph, that rappers never would have worn pink in the 90s, but by the mid-2000s, pink was all over hip-hop. Right? It was socially constructed to not be the color that was manly, but all of a sudden now it was an accepted. Nothing about pink changed, We changed and that we created or constructed a different reality about that, created a different interpretation. But here's what's fascinating. I did a little more investigation to this, and that, we think that pink has always been for girls and blue for boys. I mean, at birthday parties, the invitations, we got blue and pink. And right away, people begin to treat boys and girls differently. There was a study done that actually put the different color, the wrong color on the other baby. So they would hand people babies that were boys, but put them in pink blankets, and girls, they put them in blue blankets, and how they started talking to that child or treating that child were different, right? And so it's interesting that actually pink used to be considered to be a strong color, a forceful, assertive color, and that changed dramatically after World War II through some marketing. So, how socially constructed the phenomenon are is what we want to understand. Pink used to be this way, and now it's considered this way. And even today, like some people might not be as comfortable. It's just, I just think it's a lot of cool stuff to be able to understand. And as a result, by really having this awareness of social construction of reality, it gives us a deeper understanding of social phenomena, which also makes us less judgmental. We're less likely to then say, well, this is how you're supposed to be or how you're supposed to act, right? Because you realize, wait a minute, it's not that this is the right answer. This is just how it's been socially constructed for me or my family. We had this social construct. But as a result, I realized maybe there's some cool things other people do that I might be able to incorporate into my life. And as a result, you can make decisions for yourself to have the autonomy to do what's healthy, not just do because your parents taught you that, not just do because society tells you that. You get to decide, wait a minute, who do I want to be? What kind of family member or parent do I want to be someday? And how do I indeed make for myself the best decisions? I've had so many students, I've taught this class many times in the past, and students have said to me, you know what, I used to have assumptions about what was right or wrong, and I thought that was just natural. And of course, everybody does it that way. And I realized I don't have to. I can do what I think is best, and that power I think is particularly meaningful. And so I wanted to be able to share with you just a little bit about the assignments in this course, and we'll certainly talk more as the semester goes on. You'll get the syllabus, but here's what's going to be expected of you. We're going to do weekly discussion boards on Canvas. Many of you have done that before, and you'll get to do 10 out of 14. Now, if you do more, that's great. You only get credit for doing 10 of them, your best 10. That way, if there's a week or two you don't feel well, don't bother. You don't feel like dealing with it, don't bother. Now, don't miss 4 or 5 at the beginning of the semester, then try to catch up at the end. And when you get sick, I need next. There's no makeups, there's no extra ones. This is the idea. You get to miss 4 weeks. Or if you do more, and maybe one week you didn't do as well, you can use the top 10 scores. 2 points each. So by Friday, 11:59 p.m., you're going to post your response to the prompt that I put online, asking you to think about how it connects to the material and to do a sociological and personal analysis. And then you'll respond to 2 of your peers by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. You get 1 point for your post, 1 point for your response to your peers. A way for us to get our ideas out, and I get to see, what you're thinking and what you've learned, and also a way for us to learn from each other and help each other to grow. Now, each Wednesday, you're going to have a reading quiz. Make sure that you're on top of the readings for the course. And again, 10 out of 14. So if you miss a couple weeks or don't do well in a week, no problem, no makeups. They're 2 points each, and your best 10. Now, you're actually, though, kind of a cool wrinkle, I think, going to be able to take the quiz 3 times. So if you mess up the first time, go at it again. Go at it again. Not only do I want you to get your best possible scores, there's no point if you don't do well, you haven't learned anything. But if you can go back and keep taking it and learn more and get the information, boom, then we've had success. Now, the midterm exam, another fun little wrinkle, is going to be done on Zoom. You alone or with a partner are going to meet with me. I'm going to give you questions ahead of time, and you're going to do a presentation. You're going to get a chance to live and in person, well, not in person, but live, engage with me and share your thoughts, kind of like an essay exam done out loud, and then I'll pose some questions back. So I think that ought to be kind of a unique approach, and one that I've found in the past to be really, really enjoyable. Final exam will be more traditional, kind of multiple choice short answer on Canvas. And then a podcast project, which I'll talk about later, where you have a chance to take what you are most interested in related to this course, create a podcast, not only to you to get some deeper knowledge and more awareness, but to share that with the world. And we can take what we're learning and hopefully impact others' lives in a positive way. Now, extra credit. Here's you got an opportunity. You can actually get 10% of your grade improved. That's a whole letter grade by doing extra credit. How do you do that? Each week, I'm going to do what's called Sociology After Dark. And in Sociology After Dark, we're going to have an hour to just get on Zoom together for those who are interested. It's optional. And talk about a controversial issue related to the course material. So each week, it'll be late at night, 10, 11 p.m., because, y'all probably still awake anyway. And this way, for those who have, maybe a job after classes or, sing in the choir or on a sports team, if you have afternoon or evening activities, you'll still be able to participate. Now, if you can't ever make these because you work overnight shift, let me know and we'll figure out another approach. But I think this will be a fun way for us to be able to engage, be in community together. And again, you can earn some extra credit. Finally, I'm here for you. And I just want you to know that it's personal for me. I want you to have a great experience. And I also recognize that, people go through stuff. And that you might just want to reach out and talk. You might just want to reach out and ask a question, or you might just sort of feel the need to be able to share something. Please feel free to reach out. Anytime during this first week, if you'd like to maybe send me a quick little email introducing yourself and anything that you want me to know about you or anything I ought to know, if there's a course accommodation you need, let me know, right? I want this to be where we build these personal connections. I want to be able to know all of my students, even if we can't be in the same place at the same time. So that's the information about the class. Hopefully, that's kind of been useful for you. And I'm excited and really thrilled, looking forward to this experience together. All right. Have a wonderful first week of classes. Take care, everybody.